What up, y'all? We are back. Second podcast, upgrading a little bit to video, and yeah, here we are doing it. So, the plan is to do this, ideally once a week. So, we're gonna create a channel on YouTube. If you are watching this on video, you obviously already know. But if you're listening to this audio, we will have a YouTube channel. So unfortunately, we still don't have a name specifically. So we're thinking like The Smoke Show, or what was the other one with Warriors? Awaking Warriors. So because the idea of this podcast is just to basically get people to wake up and live their lives differently, because it seems to me that society is going just kind of dronelessly going through life, and this is Bastion.
We have our first guest,
and so we want to help people live a better and more fulfilling life, I guess. Not that we have all the answers, right? So we're still learning and growing as we go, but we understand that we're further along on the journey compared to other people, and there's other people that are much further along the journey than us. So, and we're just kind of here in the middle, if you per se, and yeah, want to be a shining beacon of light of how to deal with shit. So today's topic is actually regarding how to deal with shit, and it's stress. Everybody deals with stress, especially me. I stress myself out all the time, and yeah.
So I think looking at our week this week, this topic has come up, and we have just some stuff to talk about and how we worked through it, and kind of look at how we used to handle stress. Obviously, we're not perfect. We're human beings.
Which you will notice from our stories. Like this specific week.
Yeah.
I'm a fuck up. Completely. I got my ass saved by God or whoever, because I totally fucked up, and, I owned it right off the bat. Like, god damn. But anyways, we'll get to that in a second. Go ahead.
So this has come up for us, and that was something that we had just talked about before starting this, was like, what do we talk about? And this was something that we had very much been in this week, and I feel like overall handled well. And then again, just looking maybe how we would have handled it in the past. And like he said, we don't have all the answers. We probably could have done it differently and better.
Yeah, but not fucking up.
Well, yeah, but stress is going to come regardless. I mean, whether it's you acting, not you specifically, but anybody acting in neglectful ways, or just being not conscious or not aware.
Fuck me, I forgot to record it. Hold on. I just fucked up again.
He even mentioned how we're going to be, if you're on the video or on the audio.
Alright, real quick, second podcast, we're already like 4 minutes in. I forgot to hit the button.
But this is a beautiful plug for if you're hitting the audio now to go to our YouTube page, and then you catch the first 4 minutes.
Yes.
So.
But what's our name, real quick? Awaking Warriors. We'll fucking full send. Awaking Warriors. That's the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, you'd have to know where to find us.
Duh.
Okay. Where were we?
So let's jump right into it. Oh.
No, you will always stress will always come your way. We can talk a little bit about like the benefits and stuff to stress too, but whether it's you and your own actions creating situations in your life that are stressful, or we can't control the actions of others, and so other things will happen in our lives that will cause us to feel stressed. And so again, regardless whether that's our actions or somebody else's, we're always going to be confronted with stress, and how you handle that says a lot about where you are in life as a human being, but also just for your own health and well-being. How you handle that is you're just going to feel better through it. Like, it's going to be tough at times for sure, but when you better know how to handle it and have tools and actually use them, the stress doesn't suck as much.
And there's obviously levels of stress, right? Because,
Right.
you know, like one thing might not be stressful for another person because they're operating a multi-million-dollar company, where, you know, versus, I know, the dad that just lost his job or something, you know, so two different levels. But anyways, to basically get this ball rolling, one, I'm a very type A individual, and I'm usually on top of my shit, like, you know, very well. So, long story short, my mom went out of town for a few days this past week, and it was our responsibility to watch her animals. So, cats, dogs. She's got 3 cats, 5 dogs, and a bird. So, you know, there's a good amount to take care of when you're doing this. And you got to go over there a couple times a day and so on and so forth. Well, my mom left beginning of the week, and we thought we had this handled. We're all good. You know, this isn't our first fucking time doing this. You know, this is normal for us. So we get rolling. Everything is going good, and it was Thursday when my dad texted me and is like, "Hey, did you feed the bird?" And that's all he said. He fucking texted me, "Hey, did you feed the bird?" Me not knowing, I wake up about 4 a.m. and I wake up, I read that text, which is a total fuck up in the beginning because I shouldn't have gone straight to my phone, right? So there's a thing. I should have got my mind right. But instantly, I walk downstairs, check my phone, and then bam, like it's there. And so I set my day off with that fucking stress. Like, shit, I forgot to feed the bird for 4 fucking days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so, you know, punchline, no, yes, we forgot to feed the bird, no, we didn't feed the bird. So when we saw that text, or when he saw that text message come through.
And I knew my dad wasn't gonna get up till hours later, right? And I wanted to know the answer, like, holy shit, is this bird okay or not? Well, I didn't want to go over there because I knew he was sleeping and the dogs are going to fucking bark and all this other shit, right? So I don't want to be disrespectful and be a dick to him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go over there. I'm not going to I'm not going to do this right now. So eventually, after hours of basically controlling my mind, because I went in and out, like instantly I'm like, oh shit, my heart just dropped, and you know, I was in a panic. And then I told her because basically, you know, I always try to tell the truth. I always try to tell the truth. So, you know, knowing this information, I didn't want to withhold it from her. So I just told her. And then
I also, which we didn't talk about this, but I have a question around whether or not that was to share some of that burden, but that might be another topic for another day.
Oh, no, I mean, it was 100% to share the burden, but it was also to, like, hopefully you would reassure me, probably.
And I didn't. So what I did was not helpful for myself or him. Yeah, I decided to do a Google.
Because I would be out, you know, doing other shit, and maybe she fed the bird, or maybe, you know, I don't fucking know. You know, it's a possibility. She might have went down and fed the bird. You know, the likelihood was low, but I was grasping at straws at that point. Like, I just wanted to know, like, yes, it was partially to share the burden, 100%, but it was also like, hey, no, maybe you did take care of it, you know. But anyways, she Googled.
Yeah, so he tells me this, and this, like, again, immediate, like, heart drop feeling, because no, I didn't feed the bird, either. And so then I Googled, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe this search will help me if I Google how long what is she, a cockatoo?
Yeah, she's a cockatoo umbrella.
So I looked up how long can cockatoos live without food, and then every single search option comes up as, like, 48 hours typically. Like, one of them said maybe 3 to 4, but like those 3 to, like, that 3rd and 4th day is like not good. And so I keep this to myself at first, because I'm like, oh shit, that's not helpful. Like, it's not helpful for me that I know this information now, and to share that isn't. But then,
and honestly, in my opinion, you never even should have looked at that fucking shit.
For sure.
Yeah,
that was on me. That was
stupid.
That was like the mind in me wanting to look for reassurance again outside of that. So I'm like, maybe it's like they're gonna surprise me and it's gonna be like a week they can live without food.
I knew it wasn't gonna be that long, but
either way, I recognize that right off the bat too. Is like, this wasn't helpful, and I totally own that, but I did it, so at that point.
And so, anyways, long story short, we go out to eat with a buddy of mine and, you know, move on with the day. And eventually I don't know if I called him. I called him in the morning after I got home from breakfast. And, you know, I'm like, hey, is the bird okay? He's like, yeah. She just seemed to be drinking a lot of water because she didn't have any food or water for, you know, however long, you know. She got fed the day before my mom, or the day my mom left, and then however long. So, yeah. And then, long story short, I called my dad, said, yeah, she's drinking a lot, but she seems to be okay. I'll check her in the morning. He goes downstairs, and I guess he checks on her, and this is after I got off the phone with him. I was about to start my day. I was, you know, 5-10 minutes away from the house, and I was about to go into town. And I get this call from my dad, hey, you got time to come check on the bird? I was like, fuck, right there. I was like, son of a bitch, this is not good. And my heart just plummeted. You know, my mom trusts me to do this shit, and I'm totally capable, and then I have to explain to her basically how I fucking killed her bird because of my ignorance. Like, that was not, at that point I was like, oh shit, this is not going to be good. And I started to kind of freak out. And I hauled ass over there, and it took me about, you know, 10-15 minutes to get back to their house. And because the reason my dad wanted me to do that is because I guess it was laying on its side, and it was just like clicking its beak and stuff. So, which isn't normal, right? I got there, and she seemed to be fine. She seemed to be 100% fine, which was good because, you know, I was in a bad state of mind on the way there. And so that comes down to allowing our thoughts in that moment to be controlled. So there's some different things you can do. You can avoid the problem and avoid the thoughts by listening to music, listening to basically some sort of stimulus, outside stimulus that's going to allow you to take your mental capacity off of the issue, right? So, and that was one of the things I did, I think, is listen to I switched to the stations to try to, like, whatever.
On the way there.
Yeah, on the way there. I noticed that. But thankfully, in the end, everything is all right. You know,
she's
like,
good to go.
the
All
bird's
is well.
great, but, you know, it was the point of the situation, the point of the story is the situation was extremely stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and years ago, it would have went a lot worse. I would have been more snippy with her. I would have, like, blamed her, and I jokingly blamed her, but still at the end of the day, it's my fucking responsibility. Especially being, you know, what I consider the leader of the household or leader of the situation. You know, I hold the responsibility for what happens. You know, whether she had anything to do with it or not, it's still my fault if something would have happened to the bird. So, yeah.
Yeah, so again, just talking about, like, our topic for today, what came to mind was, like, how do we handle stress? So, like you said, this was a stressful situation.
And it was like, it was stressful,
and then
it was good, and then it went fucking stressful again. It went to 0 to 60 real quick.
Yeah, there's not a lot, but there was enough back and forth that we were just like, what the heck? Like, yeah. So, what I'm thinking of now is, especially after we had gotten the call from his dad, like, hey, do you have time to come over here? Like, again, same sinking heart feeling, right? Like, all of a sudden it's just like, oh God, after we had already, like, thought everything was fine, we had been feeling better, we weren't even really thinking about the bird, like, all is well, and then we get this call again. And so on the way there, I know how he works, we know how each other works, so I'm not, like, saying much to him. I'm, like, letting him have his, like, if he's saying anything, fine, if he's not, fine. Like, I'm just, because I'm dealing with my own stuff too. And so my mind automatically, I think, like most human minds, wants to go to, like, the worst scenario. So, like, oh my God, she's dead. Oh my God, we're gonna have to tell his mom. Oh my God, this is gonna be terrible. All these things. But, like, I was really just trying to focus on my breathing, because your breathing will tell you a lot about your body. If you're stressed out, you might not even consciously be aware of it, but your body will give you clues And
I was doing the same thing. I was belly breathing specifically, like.
Because for me, like anxiety and stress, I feel it in my chest. So immediately I had this contraction. My heart just started pounding. And so like on the way to their house, I was just trying to control my breathing. Like, okay, just breathe. And then again, like just trying to tell myself and my mind, like, wait until we get there. So I wasn't even trying to like make it better of like, oh, it's fine, she'll be fine, I'm sure she'll be fine, because I couldn't get on board with that. That wasn't going to be helpful for me. And so what was helpful in those moments was just telling myself, like, we don't know anything until we get there. Just wait until we get there, and once we have that information, then we can go from there. But right now I don't know. So like, just wait until we get there and see what's up. Which was helpful and something that takes a lot more effort, I think, than just worrying. Like, worrying can come very natural as human beings. And so it takes intention and it takes purposefulness and effort to, like he said, with the controlling of the thoughts, to get my mind where I want it to be. Because I'm trying not to let my mind control me. I am the one that's in control of those thoughts. And so being able to pull it back and like, just wait until we get there, focus on your breathing, was super helpful and newer for me in my lifetime, because beforehand those racing negative thoughts would have just kept coming and coming and coming, and then I would have felt like crap and he would have felt like crap. Like, and I even thought about this, and I think I mentioned it afterwards, like I was trying to keep those negative thoughts at bay, right? Because me worrying does absolutely nothing for the situation. I feel like crap. Energetically, I'm putting out that like yuck into the world, so he could probably sense it. The bird like could probably sense it if I have all these like worried thoughts about her. So I was just trying to like keep those chill, focus on my breathing, and like I don't know until I get there, so let's just wait until we get there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like if you're in a stressful situation, especially if you have like a partner or something, acknowledge that you're in the stressful situation. So then like you're less likely to be triggered, because you know you're openly communicating, which is a whole nother episode, is communication. But the fact that, you know, like, we didn't have to fucking say anything. We already knew we were both stressed at that point. But let's say I had the call and I never expressed that and she never knew, and then I'm just fucking hauling ass home and whatever else, and, you know, I'm not saying anything and whatever else, you know, so on and so forth. And she has no idea. She might say something, you know, like, what the fuck are you doing? Or, you know, like, and that could have caused a lot more issues. But at this point, you know, we both knew we were both stressed out, so I knew to fucking leave her alone. I didn't even want to fucking have her comments or whatever else, because I'm usually the one that is more, I don't know, I guess you could say controlled in the situations typically. Like, I'm able to handle, I handle stress better. I don't know if it's better or, but it's like I can handle more stress, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you do a better job at personally handling your stuff. Like, if I'm really stressful, it's easy for me to like project and put it outwards and look for help outside of myself. Yeah. Whereas like when things are stressful for him, he can go internally and figure it out and deal with it and not have any of the outside stuff. Yeah. So when I get stressed, it's just much more obvious and bigger and louder.
Fuck, half my life I have anxiety. Like half the day I have some sort of anxiety. It just like either is dull or it's really intense. But it's like,
I want to circle back really quick, because I think like first thing waking up in the morning, so he was up before I was, he read the text messages, he was kind of sitting in that suck for a minute before I came downstairs, and when I came downstairs, that's like an example of clearly communicating, because if you wouldn't have said anything to me about how you were feeling stressed out, I had no idea, and I'd go about my day, like go about our morning, and then you probably would have been snippier at me, and then I would have been like, what the heck, like, why are you like this, had I never known what was initially how you were feeling.
Yeah, and I expressed exactly. I didn't just express the situation. I was like, bro, that's stressing me the fuck out. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is not good. I'm like, just clearly communicate. So moving on from that particular story, there is a lot of good things that come from stress. So stress is not a negative thing. How we handle stress can become a negative thing, 100%. So I'm a hobby weightlifter is what I call myself. I go to the gym very frequently every week, and I just lift weights. I'm not an expert. I mean, I guess you could, you know, depending on who you're talking to, whatever. So when you go to the gym or you do any workout, you are stressing your body out. You are breaking your muscles down, you're expanding your lungs, whatever it is, whatever workout you're doing, you're stretching yourself. Well, you don't grow in the actual breaking down of the muscles, because you're in the gym, you're breaking down the muscles with the weight, and then the recovery is when the muscles start regenerating and building themselves, right? So pretty simple, common knowledge. Well, same thing goes with mental or emotional stress. So that particular situation was able to give us an opportunity. So we could look at it as a negative situation and be like, fuck, dude, that sucked, that was awful, you know, so on and so forth. Or we can say that was an opportunity to grow. That was an opportunity to control our mindsets. Because, like, there's practice and then there's game time, right? So, like, meditation, which we've both gotten into frequently in the past few months, allows us to have practice meditation. But that's challenging too, but it's not the same because you don't have that heightened emotion tied to the situation. You're just trying to control your emotion. You know, there's no really win or lose in it. You know, you're just trying to be like, okay, you know, I need to focus my thoughts, and you're like, oh, I got to do this today, and then you got to focus your thoughts, bring it back, and I got to do that today, and you focus. You know, there's no real win or loss. But when you're actually in the fucking situation, like, it's game time, and you're just like, holy shit. Because I could have literally sat there, broke down, and cried, and you know, some people would, and like, oh shit, what do I do? You know, and they freak out, and you know, they're not able to produce good results due to them failing to handle the situation. And me personally, from where I came from to where I am at now, and it's funny because we can basically compare, right? So, at one point in my life, I was on probation. I got impaired driving, I was a beer over, blah, 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 right? Okay. I was on probation, and I'm not a big drinker, never have been. It was just kind of one of those fluke things. So, I've got to go drop to verify that I haven't been drinking, doing drugs, blah, blah, blah. No big deal, right? Because I wasn't, and I, you know, hadn't been. Well, I go in there, do my piss test, and they're like, well, you have alcohol in your system. I'm like, what?
He had literally, like, just left work that night before work tonight, slept for, like, an hour or two, went and dropped, came home.
I was, like, at work all night, and then they're saying I had fucking alcohol in my system. And she was legit. She was a real bitch about it. Which I kind of understand because I'm sure she deals with a lot of stupid people, but I was legitimate. Like, I wasn't doing anything, but she was just a total ass to me. And so I'm like, what the fuck, dude? She's like, well, if you don't want to tell me the truth, we're going to send this out to the lab, and, you know, they're going to check it with a more specific lab, right? Because on the first, they do have like an in-house test, and then they can send it out to a third-party test. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And it took them like 2 weeks to get that shit back. And I was stressing like a motherfucker. I was miserable. I was low energy. I can tell you another situation that happened just recently, but low energy, really stressed out, and I was not dealing with the stress at all. But I was like 21, 22 at that time, probably. What do you think? Yeah, probably 21, 22. Yeah.
22 maybe.
Yeah.
So you're right here.
Yeah, so I was pretty young. And so long story short, I had found out that she went out to eat with her friends. While I came home from work, for breakfast, I had her leftovers, which was chicken marsala.
Which is made with wine.
Yeah, So, and that's why it came out dirty. Because I had eaten originally in the first test. Because I don't understand exactly. I didn't go through. I was just relieved that I was good after they did the second test.
Back, it was clean.
Yeah, yep. So, but there's like a threshold and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was literally because I had eaten her chicken marsala, and then I fucking blamed her. I'm the one that put myself in the situation, right? I'm the one that got the fucking impaired. I'm the one that ate the chicken marsala. You know, were there things that she could have like communicated? Sure, yes. But it was me, and then I was a fucking victim, just like that. And because I ate the chicken marsala and she didn't tell me, and I just blamed, took no responsibility, and I was stressed the fuck out. I remember going in the bathroom and like smashing my hand on that thing because I was fucking furious. I was so pissed because, you know, I'm doing the right thing. I'm clean. I'm whatever else, and then this thing just dicks me. And for those who don't know, like the judge at the time was Post, and his daughter, long story short, got killed by a drunk driver. So he was a hard ass. So I was so fearful of those consequences of like, you know, breaking my probation. It was insane. I was like, shit. So, you know, that's why, I wasn't even playing those games. I wasn't even trying to do that shit. And then that happened, and I think that was a really, granted, we were even at a different point just in general.
Yeah.
But like that was a horrible example of how we dealt with stress. So looking at comparatively from where I came from, basically breaking probation because of eating the chicken marsala to killing my mom's bird while she's on vacation, which, yeah. It's funny now, but it's not funny in the moment.
Oh gosh.
How I dealt with the situation and stress was all because of my mind. Because when you allow your mind to run, like, oh shit, I'm gonna go to jail. Oh shit, I'm gonna be on probation even longer. Oh shit, instead of doing that, when I was driving down the road, I was distracting myself with the music because I knew that would take my mind off of it. I was breathing with focusing on my breath, because if I'm focusing on my breath and how I'm breathing, then I'm not focusing on basically worst case scenario, like how I have to tell my mom that I killed a bird.
And you're in the present moment.
And
your breath anchors you to this moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then there was something else I did. Oh, I was potentially planning. So I wasn't just thinking this worst case scenario. I was thinking, okay, if the bird needs help, where can I take it? That was also something I was like thinking about. I was like, okay, I got the Allendale Hospital, I got the Coopersville Hospital. There's a place on Plainfield that I can go with the emergency shit. I need to start, thinking about what my next step is if the bird's not okay. So,
and I will just point out to that really quick, and this might be something else too, but that prepared is different than scared.
Yeah, for sure. Prepared is definitely different than scared. Because I wasn't like panicking. I was like, okay, if something needs to be done, what am I gonna do? Because what am I gonna do? Give it fucking CPR and blow up its lungs? I'm not. That's probably not a good idea. So I needed somebody that would have had an idea of how to handle the situation, that I could give the facts and let them handle it. So,
and just like with anything, like you need to figure out what works for you. So if I want to go and sit in a quiet room and meditate for a minute because I'm feeling stressed out, that might not sound super appealing to you. Although I would encourage you to try it if you haven't, and it doesn't have to be like that or look like that. There's many different forms of meditation, but
and it all depends on the situation too.
Right, like meditation in that moment wouldn't have been helpful. Yeah,
that wouldn't have been the answer. So there's always different solutions to different stresses.
Right, and I think this comes down to like know thyself, know what works for you, know kind of where you're at. Like, okay, this is a level 2 stress. I can just go for a walk right now outside in nature in the sunshine, and I'll probably feel better. Or this is a level 9. I need to whatever that looks like.
Get my kid to the hospital.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, like, knowing what works for you, knowing what are things that even when you're not stressed, because as he mentioned, like, if you have your practice and you're good at practice, likely chances are you're going to do better in the game. So if you are practicing outside of those stressful moments, you will do better when those stressful moments come.
Another thing, some of you guys think I might be whacked or whatever else, and I think you guys are lame for saying that I could never do that. I think that's a fucking bullshit, lame ass I don't know, excuse
Cop out.
or cop out, whatever else. But anyways, a lot of you guys have seen me in the cold water. It's like 31 degrees, and I sit in there between 3 to 5 minutes, give or take. And I've recognized I was originally doing it specifically for the physical benefits, right? For the inflammation, for the recovery, and the mental toughness, and stuff like that. But one of the surprising nice effects that I've recently acquired from that was my anxiety has been like subdued. It's not, and I would even say it was completely gone at times. Like even right now, I have a slight. I can tell that it's there. I can tell the anxiety is there in my chest, but it's not like out of control. But there's been times over the past week, because I've done that ice bath for 8 straight days now, where it's completely gone. Like there's like no anxiety at all, and I feel like fucking incredible. So, because I live with anxiety like all the time, and I didn't even honestly know I had anxiety until a few years back, because it's just something that I've always had, and also, which is due to stress, right? Kind of. So you have your conscious and your unconscious, and consciously, there are times that I stress myself out thinking about the things, but there's also the subconscious, which is also stressing you out because you were programmed that way. So your subconscious is basically thinking. Like for right now, like I'm not thinking about, for instance, people criticizing me, or me fucking up this thing, or this podcast or whatever else. But subconsciously, I probably am. I don't know for sure, but I'm obviously thinking something because I do have the tension in my chest. So, just another food for thought.
Right. With the ice bath being helpful for that. So something that he's doing outside of those stressful moments and that one I think is even more like amplified, because it literally is triggering like your nervous system. Yeah. So you're like, you are literally practicing this stressful situation and handling it.
Yeah.
And so one, like that gets your body on board, but two, that gets your mind on board too. Like I can handle this situation. I can do this. And it might seem silly because it's like, how can you relate the ice bath to almost killing a bird? But like, trust me, there's connections.
Yeah, stress is stress at the end of the day, right? No matter whether you're killing a bird or getting in the ice bath. But at least you control this particular stress, and you're able to deal with it, and it's safe, and you can. The main thing is you can learn how to deal with it. Because that's what it's all about, is basically utilizing tools to learn to live a better life. Because I'm at this point in my particular life, I recognize stress will always be there no matter what. And there's always going to be the next level of stress. Like, okay, if you're dealing with $1,000, now you're dealing with $10,000. If you're dealing with $10,000, now you're dealing with $100,000. If you're dealing with $100,000, it always builds on each other, So, no matter what, you're going to always have some sort of stress in your life. It's ultimately how you deal with it. It's a constant evolving game, is what I'm saying. You're never going to arrive. You're never going to just live your fucking life free of anxiety forever and free of stress forever. It's not going to fucking happen. So get that out of your mind and just learn how to deal with it. Because I'm 28 years old right now, and I'm like, fuck, dude, am I just going to live? I can probably subdue my anxiety, right from where I'm at. Because I already have subdued it from where I was. And now I'm here, and now I can do even less, So how do I get there? By doing my practices, by controlling my mind, by meditating, cold baths.
And your mindset around that stuff is huge too. So like understanding that stress will always show up in your life, but having a mindset of like, when stressful things arrive, I can handle it. I know I can handle it is huge. And understanding too that, like he said, with the ever evolving, like it will level up, because the universe is not going to hand you anything bigger than you already are dealing with if you can't deal with what you have now. And so kind of looking at those situations as like a test or an opportunity, like he said, this is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to like practice what I've actually, practice what I preach, practice what I've literally been practicing in real time. And then I think, again, just having that mindset of like, this is a chance for me to grow. This is a chance for me to learn. How can I handle this situation? And we aren't always going to do it right. Like this bird situation, I feel like we did really well. And it's nice because it happened. It ended how we would have liked it, right? The bird's okay. But like there are going to be times where we don't handle it gracefully or beautifully, and
I'll say even on that, like we could have handled it better.
For sure.
Know?
I'm
like,
sure. Yeah. We wouldn't have been on a roller coaster if we handled it better.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Because I'm the type of person who basically good is never good enough. So, even though we handled it like we did, which was, we handled it solid. I'd say we handled it between 5 and 7, I'd say. Somewhere in that range.
I give it 7 easy. Anyway.
My standards are higher.
Anyway. Oh yeah, this is what I was getting at. Was we may not always handle it the most in the best way. And especially hindsight's 20/20, right? We can look back on a situation and be like, wow, I should have did this differently. And in those moments, having grace and choosing to learn something from it and then moving on.
Yeah.
And doing better or doing something differently the next time.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously if you have a spouse, rely on them, or not rely on them, but be able to confide in them and, be willing to be vulnerable as far as those situations go. So, because men especially, we just want to withhold all that and protect our significant other. But at the end of the day, if that's causing me if I'm withholding information or whatever to protect to protect her, and that's just making me grumpy and whatever else, that's not doing either of us any good, because now I'm in a fucking shit mood. I'm probably being a dick to her. She doesn't even know why I'm being a dick. But if I just express and confide, like, hey, this is why I'm fucking stressed out. This is it. This is why. It has nothing to do with you. And then, because it's a chain link effect. If I'm dealing with stress and then I don't express, or even if I do potentially, now she's stressed out because I'm acting in an irrational way or whatever else. So, which is how probably to a degree I used to operate, I think. I used to just deal with the situation and not express it. So, but yeah, I mean, what's some other, I think that's about it for the most part. But just be aware, long story short, there's options to deal with your stress. Stresses are an opportunity. And some of the, we'll go over some of the things. Reading the first right away when you wake up instead of checking out your phone, because odds are, that's an Ed Milet thing. He talks about get your mind under control first, and then go into your day. So instead of reacting, you can control your mind and respond later down the road. Cold showers are great because it teaches you how to deal with stress. It helps the nervous system as far as deal with stress. So it's not only just a mental thing; it's literally a physical thing.
Yeah. Physiological.
And then what else? Communication about your stress to whoever, whether that's a coworker or something like that, because then they can know to maybe leave you alone. Hey, I'm stressed out today. Don't fucking talk to me unless you have to talk to me. Something like that. Because there's a lot of days I don't want you to fucking bother me. I'm doing stuff, don't fucking bother me. Unless unless there's a good reason. Okay, but
I want to add to that communication piece, because as much as it's important to communicate with the people around you when you're feeling stressed out, it's also important to be real and communicate with yourself. So if that means going in the bathroom and shutting the door and looking yourself in the mirror and having a conversation about that, perfect. If that means doing some journaling around that, awesome. But if you're not real with yourself in the stress,
you're talking to yourself, you might need some fucking meds.
Oh, I'm really woo-woo, so talk to yourself, talk to your inner child, talk to all the things.
I do not endorse meds.
But yeah, that's huge too. So if you're not even being real and having a real internal dialogue, I would start there. But obviously, yes, it's helpful when you let others in on how you're doing too.
So then they know not to bug you and bother you. Good sleep, obviously, but that's
right. Healthy diet.
Yeah.
Exercise.
Healthy diet.
Get outside.
Exercise. Yeah.
There's so much about nature that can help and
get grounded. a lot of the energy gets built up in you, and you know, if you're not releasing it into the earth, then that causes you problems. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and they have grounding
music, dance.
sheets.
That is so not it. There's so much you could do.
Yeah. The opportunities are endless to deal with stress. So if you deal with it, you know, everybody starts somewhere. But if you're dealing with it and it's getting like really crazy and horrible, that's on you. That's your fucking fault, and that's your problem. So, you know, there's opportunities.
We make choices.
Yeah, we make choices. So.
And I think, like, you don't know what you don't know kind of situation, but if you're sitting here listening to this, now you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I mean, like you said, we're not perfect, and we're not, I don't know.
We're not trying to act like we are, because we're not. We don't have it all figured out, but...
If you do want to reach out and ask us questions or whatever else, you know, I'm totally cool with that. I'm sure she is too. I like pointing people in the right direction, for sure. I don't necessarily want to walk the whole journey with you, but if you want, you know, pointers and arrows or guidance, you know, totally cool with that. Because and we'll get into it down the road, but from where we started, holy shit, we're completely radically different people. So, and I can't wait to get in the further episodes and about like childhoods and, you know, trauma and shit like that. But yeah, it's gonna be a journey. So just like life. I think that's it. This will probably be put up tomorrow. Is it going to be Awakening the Warriors or Awakening Warriors? Awakening the Warriors.
I feel like Awakening Warriors makes sense. Like, that's what we're doing. We're Awakening Warriors.
So just to be clear, podcast, it'll be on, I think, Castbox? No. It's on a...
That's the one that we...
Yeah, but
it's first used.
Yeah.
Oh, podcast player?
Yeah, podcast player. If you want to listen to this and you're watching it right now, it's on podcast player. It's free. It's a free download. You can download it and listen to pretty much any podcast. And go there, Awakening Warriors. Same thing with YouTube. If you're listening to this and you want to go watch the video version of it, she will be doing the editing. So this is all.
So bear with me.
This is all new to us. Last time we did it in our living room. Now we're doing it up here. So as this progresses, it'll get better and better. I hate it when things suck in the beginning, but it's part of the process. But yeah, I think that's it. Also my speech patterns. I need more practice on that. So that's it. Hopefully we awakened some of you.
Woke up.
Wake the fuck up. And you can live a different life, because there's so much more out there than what you have been told and what you've been led to believe. So, and we'll go through some like different guys to listen to, like Aubrey Marcus and Paul Chek and who else? Ed Milet, Jesse Itzler. There's so many. The thing is endless. Or you can go with classic like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar.
Alan Watts is a good one.
Alan Watts is really good. So, but anyways, those are just to name a few people that you guys could check out throughout the week when you're not listening to our good ass shit. I feel like I'm gonna regret that move.
Alright,
I will watch
these. We are wrapping it up. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We hope that we provided some value, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See ya.